Hey everyone, it's Allison from Determined to Shine, and welcome to my first deck collection video. I'm super excited to share this with you guys today because I will admit I have a weakness for deck collection videos. I just love watching them, and for so many reasons. I love seeing what decks other people love. I love discovering what's out there that I could love, that I wouldn't love. I love seeing decks that I own but forgot about and finding new ways to connect with them. I just think they're so much fun. And for my first collection video, I decided to do a video response to the HUGDECKS hashtag that was created earlier this year by the YouTube channel Patsy's Mystical Musings. And I'll provide a link to her original video in the description box. And so the idea of this hashtag is to share your hug decks. These are the decks that comfort you on a rainy day, that bring you joy during hard times, and that just have that soft, warm, fluffy tarot oracle hug that sometimes we need when we're struggling. Now, I believe in the original challenge, she encouraged you to pick maybe 5 decks, and I've picked maybe 10-ish of each tarot and oracle, so you're gonna want to buckle up. This video is a little bit long, but I just didn't want to hold back because hug decks are my favorite decks, and they're the reason I fell in love with tarot and oracle cards in the first place, because I was looking for a way to connect with spirit during hard times and connect with my intuition when I was too blocked, you know, emotionally, or from whatever was going on, or whatever reason that I couldn't see what I was feeling. The cards helped me out. And so I decided I wanted to start with hug decks because it's just the most magical way to do it. So I have a bunch of decks that I'm sharing with you. Most of them are currently available. A couple of them are not, so I apologize. You'll find the links to get all of these decks in the description box. And I can't wait to see what you think of my collection of hug decks. So let's look at the cards. So I am starting things off with my favorite hug deck of them all, which is the Way of the Panda Tarot. And if I could only own one deck in the whole wide world, this might be it. It's so beautiful and so loving and kind and gentle, but also powerful. It's just everything I could ever want. Look how adorable these cards are. And they're silly too. And for me, silliness is as equally important as like just having a really good hug, you know? And so it's so dreamy. Even the hard cards are so powerful for me. Look at this Magician. So cute. The watercolor, everything about this deck is pure magic for me, and it never, ever, ever lets me down. And in fact, I love it so, so much that it's the only deck in history that I've ever purchased twice. Kimberly recently unveiled a mini version of this deck, and so of course, I had to have that one too. It's mostly the exact same artwork. I'll just show you. Maybe you'll see a few different cards this time. There's that Strength. They're just smaller. There's the Tower. Even the Tower is cute. So some of the same cards. But I just love this deck. It's so adorable and sweet. Look at the Queen of Swords. And the other thing that was super adorable was that the mini version of this deck, I love that Ace of Pentacles, comes with this Fairy God Panda card. And who doesn't need a Fairy God Panda in their life? So that is the Way of the Panda Tarot in both sizes. And I absolutely recommend, if you're getting this deck, that you also get the Book of the Pandas. It's an extended guidebook. Now, this deck is a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, so you don't need this book, but look how much is in here. There's spreads for every major card. There's just like a lot of fun and sweet hug writing. And there's even a spread in here called A Million Panda Hugs. So I absolutely love and recommend both the big and little Way of the Panda Tarot and the Book of Pandas. So next up is the Weird Cat Tarot by Gabrielle Cash. And look at this gorgeous pink metallic gilded edges. I am here for it. This is the card back. Super fun. Again, I love decks with bright colors and just magic in every card here. Even the difficult ones. I just think I love the color. I love the kind of 80s almost neon styling of it. Everything about this deck, once again, just super appeals to me. And this is a great deck if I'm kind of in a funk and really want to be uplifted and energized. Like the Panda Tarot and some of the calmer decks really like can help me feel just loved and gentle. And this deck just kind of reminds me that, look at this Ace of Pentacles, so cute. Just reminds me that I'm strong, I'm tough, not to take myself too seriously, but just to enjoy the ride and be energized, be, you know, and just experience my life and whatever the world has in it. Even, like, I love this Ten of Swords. It's just, yeah, everything about this deck is magic to me. I'm going to say that about pretty much every deck in this collection, but I do mean it, and this is absolutely like a top 10 deck for me of all time. So much fun. So that is the Weird Cat Tarot. Next up is the Super 8-Bit Tarot, and this is one I don't see on YouTube very often, but it's very much a hug deck for me because it's so nostalgic and it just takes me back. So the fun part about this deck is it's just very like pixelated, adorable art. Obviously, it's designed to look like a Super Nintendo box, right down to this little seal here. And it even comes with, you know, a little sheet of card meanings. But what I love is on the other side, it has this map for a spread, and it maps it out as the worlds of tarot. And if you played video games in the late 80s and early 90s, this is just so fun. And when I play with this deck, I just feel like I am instantly transported back to, you know, playing Nintendo games in my basement in 6th grade. And I just think it's really fun. And that's a hug for me, especially if I'm dealing with issues from childhood or things like that that are coming up for me, especially around those teen and early, or I guess early adolescence, I would say. It is absolutely a straight Rider-Waite-Smith clone. The artwork is, you know, card for card, almost exactly the same, except that it's in this fun video game pixelated style. This is a super fun deck. Like I said, nostalgic. And I've often found that the men in my life, if they want tarot readings, really enjoy this deck, especially, you know, that are around my same age, because they can identify with this imagery if they grew up in that time. So, I mean, so can girls. Obviously, I love this deck. I'm just saying. That's one thing I've noticed. So that is the Super 8-Bit Tarot. Next up is the Playful Heart Tarot. Now, it comes in this box, but I keep mine in this pouch. And normally I only use pouches or bags for decks that come in really big, unwieldy boxes. But this deck I keep in here because this is absolutely, for me, another what I'd call soul deck. This is the other deck in addition to the pandas that I love so much. This deck is created by Kitten Chops. I got it on Kickstarter, though you can order from her website, and I am just in awe of it every single time. The colors are so vibrant. Every single card feels like a hug. Sometimes literally, like in this case. Again, here too, like in all of these cases, these cards just blow my mind. They are what I feel like the inside of my heart looks like. If there's a garden inside of me, where my own soul's journey takes place, this is what I think it looks like. And I am just so grateful that this deck exists, because it has given me many, many hugs since I got it. I tried to put it back in order for you guys, but I definitely missed a couple here. The cardstock's really nice. It like shuffles really easily. You can see it keeps slipping in my hand. Sorry, that's that good old MS, tricky hands popping out for you. But, I just, yeah, Queen of Wands. Don't you just like want to step into this and sunbathe like that? I do. Maybe you don't, but I do. Again, everything about this deck is perfect, perfect, perfect for me. So I love this deck. I love everything about it. Of course, she also sells stickers and tote bags and things like that with all the art. And I've gotten a bunch of those things too, because this deck is so magical for me. And one thing she says is that cuteness is her sacred space. And so that is how she connects with spirit. And that's how I connect with spirit. And even this card that's very quote unquote scary, there's still a light here from the moon. And it just is, I just think it's all really powerful. And I feel very seen by this deck. I feel like all of my imagination and dreams come true live here in this deck. So that is the Playful Heart Tarot. It's time to move on. I just keep flipping cards because I love it so much. So, oh, she has these cards at the end. This card, things are easier than you think. I love just keeping this card out. And then also a yes card, embrace your inner child, and you are free. So 3 bonus cards in this deck. I'm glad I kept going because those are worth mentioning. So that is the Playful Heart Tarot. Up next is the Crystal Unicorn Tarot by Pamela Chen, and I could not make a video on HUGDECKS without including this. This deck is super adorable. Many of you have probably seen it. It's a pretty popular deck, but it is gorgeous. And who doesn't want this gorgeous pastel wonderland of a deck? It is a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, so the symbolism and imagery is going to be familiar to a lot of you, but it's just with unicorns instead of people, and bright colors instead of that, you know, traditional color scheme and artwork that appears in the Rider-Waite-Smith, which for me personally, you know, I never resonated with. I own way too many tarot decks to admit, and I do not own a regular Rider-Waite-Smith deck because that imagery, I cannot connect with it. And so this has been a great deck for me as I was learning, because I got to, this is the Donut Worry card, sidebar. This is a special promotional card. This does not normally come in the deck. You have to, Pamela offers them sometimes on Instagram as prizes or through special giveaways and things like that, but it's super cute. So I like to keep it in there. Sidebar. So what I was saying was, this was a great deck for me to learn with, because all of the Rider-Waite symbolism that I needed was here, but it was in unicorns and colors that appealed to me, and that really helped me learn tarot just really, really well. So that is the Crystal Unicorn Tarot. Next up is the Princesses Tarot, and this is a deck created by an Instagram artist. Her handle is MLM_illustration. I feel really bad, sort of, showing you this deck because it's out of print. It's very hard to find. It was a super limited run. But if I'm being honest with myself about my HUGDECKS, I have to include this deck. It is just the major arcana as well as 4 queens, and it is featuring all of those princesses that we know and love from our favorite movies, from our favorite company, as well as a couple others. I love the High Priestess. Make it pink or make it blue. You get to decide. There are some really gorgeous cards in here. I love everything about it. I was honestly speechless when this deck arrived. I'm so in love with this choice for the lovers and looking at just love from a different perspective, just like this movie did. The Chariot, of course, in Jasmine's Magic Carpet. I'm going to show you every card in this deck, even though this video is getting long and I'm trying to move quickly and I have a whole bunch of decks for you. This deck is so beautiful to me. I love this Wheel of Fortune. Snow White is Death, of course. Moana for Temperance. I love the choice of Alice for the Devil. So, yeah, this is the Princess's Tarot. And if you're going crazy over it, I'm so sorry. I am going to put, of course, all the links to all the decks in the description box. And I will link the sold out Etsy listing for this deck so you can contact the artist and just see if she's going to be releasing any more or if there's a chance. But now these ones are interesting. I should just mention the queens. These are all characters that exist as animals in their movies, and it's how she imagined them as people. So this is the Swan Princess. There's the swans there. Marie from the Aristocats. Well, Jane from Tarzan. So Jane is, of course, already a person. And then from Robin Hood. So that's the Princess's Tarot. I love it so, so much. It's, of course, you know, not going to be for everyone, but for my heart and my soul and my HUGDECKS, right up there. Next up is the Affirmations Tarot. It says, for magical guidance from the universe to help you help yourself without the self-helpiness. And this is from Knock Knock, as are all of the Affirmators decks. This one surprised me. I ended up liking it a lot more than I like their Oracle or Affirmation decks. Because it's an animal deck, and I love animal decks, I had to limit myself on the number of animal decks I could make in the HUGDECK video, or I would show you every animal deck I had. If you want to see every animal deck I have a whole bunch, because I love them, let me know in the comments how cute is this Six of Cups. And I can make a video of just my animal decks. So this is just such a hug to me. Every card is super adorable. Look at this Three of Pentacles. Like, these dogs are literally cheering for you. How much of a hug is that? Armadillo, love it, here for it. So I just love how sweet these cards are. Little dinosaur. Four of Wands, take a nap. It's my nap card. I love these. It's such a great animal hug. And the other thing I like is this guidebook is so sassy. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. And that's just part of it for me. I love silliness in my decks. Look at this. I love cuteness. I love adorableness. That's what I need in a hug deck. Not everyone is the same way, but that's just how I best connect to spirit and to myself, to my inner knowing. I am all about what is cute and happy and adorable and the things that make my heart sing. So, oh, this poor bird coming from the tower. That's all right. It's all better in the next card. So yeah, that is the Affirmators Tarot. I love this is really the only kind of person you're dealing with in this deck. And in the guidebook, just an example of the silliness. You know, it says like the High Priestess. It has its little message. And then it does have an affirmation for each card. But like the High Priestesses says, I listen to my gut and honor its messages. Except the ones that say I should eat another pizza in the dark by myself. And I just think that's super hilarious. And even has affirmations for the minor cards, which I think is super great. So that is the Affirmators Tarot. Definitely a hug for me. And my last hug tarot deck, don't worry, I have plenty of oracles coming up, is the Simplicity Tarot by Emily Muniz. I have shown this deck on my channel before, so I will link to that video. And so I won't spend a ton of time on it, but this deck, as I mentioned in my other video, was a big surprise for me because I don't usually like traditional imagery, but it's just different enough. Again, it has all the symbolism I need with this really beautiful color scheme. The cardstock is delicious. It is, it's a very luxurious deck, and the keywords on this deck combined with the artwork give me just what I need to be a really confident and, I guess, experienced reader. I love using this card deck for readings for other people. It helps them understand things a little bit better. And I love to read intuitively, but I do sometimes still struggle with remembering those traditional meanings, and the traditional meanings are important. So I love that there's just enough of a keyword there to give me what I need to feel confident. So again, I'll link to my other video showing you more of this deck, and of course there's a creative exercise to go with it as well, but that is the Simplicity Tarot. Okay, it's time for the oracles. Are you hanging in with me? You know, take a break if you need it. Here we go. Oracle hugs. Oh. Okay, we are starting off with the Pixiekins Inspiration Deck by Paulina Cassidy. If you enjoy tarot and oracle decks, you're probably familiar with her art. She has a lot of pretty neat decks out there. This one is a bit different. Here's the card back, if you want to see that. It's pretty adorable. And there's no guidebook or anything with this. This deck is simply one card at a time with a very quirky, fun character and a message for you. This is one of my favorite cards. It's right on top. It's Babette Bloodroots, and it says, everything that's ever happened formed the incredible being that you are. And I love that sentiment because I have had a lot of really hard things happen to me. And it's very easy for me to get hung up on those things. I try not to. That's kind of the whole point of Determined to Shine, right? Is rising above and finding joy in those moments. But I just love that message for those hard days. And that's why this is a hug deck. You know, here we have Baron-Reid McScratches. Face challenges that might be foolish enough to face you. Oh, so great. I just love the reminders in here about going with the flow. Here's the Carnival Crusaders. Life is a carnival, revel in the ride. Reminders in this deck to go with the flow, embrace what life has to offer, face the hard stuff. Here's Jezebel and Kazoo reminding you never to dim your light for the sake of making others comfortable. Fiona Fluffington, if you stumble, make it part of the dance. This card is speaking to me really seriously right now. I'm actually going to set it out and set it up on my altar because it's just really singing to me. Get your magic on. Make a wish, take a chance, make a change. That's actually lyrics from a Kelly Clarkson song. Break away. That's the Ella Fairy. Okay, awesome. Timothy, there is magic within you. So you can see these are just cute critters to just kind of give you a little bit of encouragement. I love spending time with these, journaling about them, thinking about the backstory behind who these characters might be and what they might want to say to me or to anyone. Allie and the twins, make time to celebrate something no matter how big or small. Here's Chester, of course, on the cover of the box. So just really... this deck just encourages me, and I don't always remember to reach for it, but every time I do, I am cheered and encouraged, especially just when I'm in those kind of melancholy moods, when I'm not really necessarily like dealing with anything intense, but I'm just feeling kind of blah at the world. This is a really great deck to kind of reset and just give myself a little bit of magic and joy. So that is the Pixiekins. So next up is the Crystal Keepers Oracle by Adam Barrelet. And this one, I don't see on YouTube a lot, so it might be new to some of you, which would be awesome. It's published by Animal Dreaming Publishing, which is out of Australia, though I found this at my local New Age shop. And I love this deck because this is the deck that really helped me start working with crystals for the first time. I love working with crystals, and I just didn't really know how to do it very well. And the idea of this deck is there's a card for each stone that's included, but they all have this mystical being that is the keeper of that crystal. And in the guidebook for any of the ones you go to, you'll get a message about the stone, your message from the stone, and then your allies of the stone, which is always an animal, a scent, a food, and then like an elemental energy, and sometimes even more. And I just had so much fun when I first got this deck. I decided I was going to get a piece of every stone in this deck. It took me a long time. I went to many New Age shops, searched Etsy, etc., looking for the right piece for each stone. And, you know, often small pieces, because I was, of course, working with a limited budget and wanting to buy, how many cards are in here? Does it say 45 crystals, which definitely added up. As I mentioned, it took quite a while, but I did eventually get almost every stone in here. There's one that I don't have because it's a very rare, expensive stone called Tugtopite. So I don't have Tugtopite, but I have everything else in this deck. And I just really enjoy kind of the idea of this. It really helped me work with crystals. I loved being able to pull a card in the morning like I was used to, and then let that set my crystal intention for the day, and then go to the guidebook and learn more about that crystal. So definitely a hug for me, both because I love this art and I love the Crystal Keepers as these kind of mythological beings that support and embody the energy of each crystal. But I also find this to be a hug because it really reminds me of that journey of seeking out each stone and really kind of learning new things and embracing this kind of new part of my spiritual practice. So that is the Crystal Keepers Oracle. Next up is the Myths and Mermaids Oracle of the Water. This is by Jasmine Beckett-Griffith with Amber Logan and Kachina Micheletto. Most of the Jasmine Beckett-Griffith decks are done by Lucy Cavendish, and so this is a little bit of a departure in that. This deck is a hug deck for a couple of reasons for me. I did edge this one in some pastel shimmer highlighter. So it's a hug deck for me because mermaids are a mythical creature that I really love to work with that energy. And I've always loved mermaids since I was very, very young. I love the pastel coloring on this deck. And the messages in this deck are sometimes a little direct, but it's still a hug for me. And I think this deck also really illustrates why hug decks are different for everyone, right? Like, some people find Jasmine Beckett-Griffith's art to be really creepy. And her other decks, for me, are much harsher in message. Like, her fairy tale cards, for me, are a shadow work deck. It's a very dark deck for me. And that might be a hug for someone else. But for me, the hug comes from these beautiful, beautiful mermaids. And also because of how I acquired this deck, which is another reason a deck might be a hug for you. I'd had a really bad day, and I went to the New Age shop in town with my boyfriend, and I had been wanting this deck for a long time. And I was just kind of looking at it again on the shelf, and he just quietly took it out of my hand and went up to the register and bought it for me. And I thought that was super, super sweet. So not only do I love this deck and feel like it's a hug deck because of the love from the mermaids, it's also, for me, full of love from him. And that's really special. So that is the Myths and Mermaids Oracle of the Water. Again, I have a lot of mermaid decks, ocean decks, kind of, I guess I'll just call like water elemental decks. So if that's something you're interested in seeing more of, let me know. I can put that video together for you. Next up is the Wings of Wisdom deck by Alana Fairchild, and the art is by Lindy Longhurst. And Alana Fairchild's decks are often very popular, but I don't see this one in many people's collections, which is really too bad because it's a wonderful hug. And shocker, it is, I guess, an animal deck. I don't think of it as an animal deck, but it is. They all are. All of my hug decks are animal decks. No, they're not really, of course, but lots of them are. The cards are a unique size, and so each one has kind of the, you know, obviously the title, the art, some keywords, a really neat affirmation, and then on the back, a really beautiful, just super, super encouraging message. And to go even further into the hug, there are extended messages in this guidebook. This deck has never ever failed to give me the hug I need when I need it. Every single time. I think this art by Lindy is just fantastic. I love the colors. I love, of course, you know, shine bright. Anything that says bright or shine on it, I love. I shine bright. I light up the night. The fireflies with the foxes. I just think this deck is so gorgeous. Obviously, it's not all animals. You've seen a fairy, etc., angel, a crow, communication, magic, and intelligence. I courageously speak my truth and claim my rightful space. And then a message about listening to your inner voice and reflecting on the truth. So this is, yeah, just one of my favorite hugs in a box. And I love giving this deck as gifts, as a gift, particularly to people who are new to Oracle cards or who even don't really have an Oracle card practice or spiritual practice. This deck is really lovely to be encouraging to anyone, even if, you know, they're not a person who wants to collect a bunch of decks. This is my favorite card because it's a blonde girl with a bear, and I love bears. Bears! I just yell bears sometimes when I see bears. It's a thing. Just trust me. Pegasus, love it. So I really love giving this deck to people who, you know, can benefit from some encouragement regardless of whether or not Oracle cards are their thing. I've had many people love this deck, and I just think it's such a beautiful gift to give to anyone you care about or yourself. It's just so, so encouraging. So that is the Wings of Wisdom from Alana Fairchild and Lindy Longhurst. Okay, you hanging in with me? We're still going. I picked a lot of decks. I'm starting to question that decision, but I'm going with it because I love all these decks, and I just think we can never have too many hugs, especially hugs in card form. This is the Embody Oracle deck by Himalaya and Alexis Cohen. Again, not one I see on YouTube or on social media very often. It's also special to me because Alexis Cohen is one of my mentors. I'm in a program with her right now, and she's amazing. So I just have to give a shout out to her, of course. This card will tell you everything you need to know about why this deck is a hug deck for me. Rainbows, balloons, clouds, teddy bears. What more could I ever ask for? This deck is beautiful. It is powerful. Like, I love this card. It is about claiming your just most badass, beautiful self, probably divine feminine self. I definitely think this is, you know, a deck, I don't want to say for women, because I really believe most decks are for everyone, but for anyone who wants to bring forth that feminine energy in themselves, regardless of their personal gender identity. Sisterhood. I love this card, Get Primal. So this is just a favorite deck. I use this deck a lot at our Determined to Shine retreats and online retreats. We often set the energy and intention for each day of an online event with an oracle card, and I love using these cards to set the intention and choose our artistic exercises, because it's really a powerful way to just create an awesome experience for everyone. If you're wanting to learn more about our online events, go to determinedtoshine.net, or more importantly, join our Facebook group, because that's where you will often find that information. The guidebook for this deck is equally wonderful. I love it, but this art just speaks to me so deeply every time. So it is a hug, but it is absolutely what I will call, again, a strengthening hug. It reminds me of my power and lets me, liberate, step forward into my rainbow unicorn, badass self that is not afraid of anything. Or I guess I should say, who is afraid and does it anyway, because that's what life is about, right? So that is the Embody Oracle. Next up is the Fairy Wisdom Oracle by Amy Brown. And this is another deck that is a hug deck, both because of the deck itself and because of how it came into my life. So right now it's in this gorgeous, huge box, but the box is quite large. So I will probably be moving this deck to a bag like super shortly. This deck was a birthday gift and from one of my very favorite people in the whole wide world. And that's part of why I love it. And I actually just keep this little Amazon birthday wish like in the box because it makes me happy. The book is really beautiful. It's got this nice cover. It is black and white, but it has really pretty messages and like a chant and an action for every card as well, which is fantastic. So let's look at the cards quickly. We're almost there. Got a few more decks, then we're hanging in. So I love this deck because I love fairies and because, you know, I've loved Amy Brown artwork for as long as I can remember, and this art takes me back to my teen years and just how I felt, you know, falling in love with fairies and otherworldly things long before I found tarot or oracle cards or spirituality or even my own personal path. You know, like I was just kind of a lost soul in the woods. Okay, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's a really beautiful deck. The messages are really sweet. And it's just one of those that feels like coming home to me for a lot of reasons. And because my friend that gave it to me also loves fairies, I feel really connected to her when I use it. So I'm just really encouraged all around. I love that, you know, some of the fairies are very kind of stereotypical. Not stereotypical, but like this wild violet fairy is a fairy you're used to seeing, especially from Amy Brown, but like this dandelion's kind of earthy fairy I love. Air element. It's just a really encouraging deck, and home sweet home. I love that. It just makes me happy and it feels like a hug, and that's why it's a hug deck. It's cardstock is nice. It is a matte finish and it's nice and slippery, as you can see, because the cards keep falling everywhere. But yeah, it's just a really great, oh, the caffeine card. I wonder what that says. Is it good for me? Is it bad for me? Who knows? I've had a lot right now, which is why I'm talking like this. Okay, anyway. So yeah, so this is Amy Brown's Fairy Wisdom Oracle. Big fan. Hope you love it too. Ah, Whispers of Spring. Just a tough fairy. So Yep. Hug for me from this deck. All right, moving on. So this deck is newer to my collection, but it is becoming a favorite. It's the Chakra Girls Spirit cards. Now this comes in like one of those thin organza bags, and so I put it in this nicer bag. This is a Peggy bag. For those of you who watch Supportive Tarot, the channel by Lisa, her wife Peggy makes these great bags. You can buy them on Etsy. I'll put a link to her shop. And then I just added a little rainbow charm to the bag because I could and I wanted to. So I did. Anyway, Chakra Girls Spirit cards. I love these cards. They're new, but they feel like a hug because they once again get in touch with that younger part of me that is so alive and active and often in need of healing. There are basically 3 cards per the 7 chakras plus the rainbow cards at the end. So for each color or each chakra, you have 2 messages from this chakra girl and then 1 from her little spirit animal friend. So if you go into the guidebook, you would get to the red cards, and then, you know, Mula is the girl. She's your guide to feeling grounded and balanced, and her spirit animal is Avani the elephant. So you'd have one message for each of these cards, and then a message from her animal. And that's true for every chakra in the deck. These also have a really cute back. I really enjoy that. So once again, 2 messages and the animal. I'll do it that way, sorry, so you can see those. So that's of course your sacral chakra, your 2nd chakra. They have a really nice matte finish. I will be honest, these cards are a lot higher quality than I was expecting. And I don't know why that is, but that's just, it was a surprise to me that they were as good a quality as they are, just because the deck was really affordable. But I really like it. And I just think it's really fun and simple. And yes, this would be a great deck to give to, you know, an older child or young young teenager. But I really like it for myself as well. And just those simple messages to connect with really the basics of my life, my heart, etc. Like these 2 cards speak to me so deeply, right? Like this is what Determined to Shine is all about right here. This 1 card. I kind of want to just like hang it up on my wall forever and ever. Maybe I will. And I love this little dragon. So it's just a super fun, basic, super cute deck, but I really enjoy. Next up is Kyle Gray's Keepers of the Light Oracle cards. Now, this was not my first Oracle deck. I'm not sure what my first Oracle deck was, to be honest. I can't remember. I know what my first tarot deck was, but I know I got a few Oracles at the same time. What I know about this Oracle deck was it was the first deck of any kind that I ever picked up and felt it, what I'm going to say, just like buzz or sing. People talk about, you know, decks having energy, and from the moment I first picked up this deck, which is full of archangels and religious leaders from all kinds of traditions, the very first time I picked up this deck, I was like, whoa. I could feel the energy in it. I could feel, it just felt so powerful to me. And it felt like nothing I'd ever experienced. And from that very first pull of this deck to every pull I have done since, I have felt nurtured, hugged, and loved so fiercely by this deck. It is a best friend to come home to. It is so pretty. It's just very peaceful. It's got, you know, obviously the name of the deity or light keeper, keywords, and then a message. The guidebook goes into further detail, but it just has touched me deeply. And, you know, a lot of people love Kyle Gray's Angels and Ancestors deck. I love that one too. I love his other things, but this one is my favorite because this is the deck that brings me home and just sings to me every single time and just lets me know that I'm not alone and I'm going to be okay. And what more could you want from a hug deck? So that is the Keepers of the Light. All right, friends, 3 to go. We're almost there. Now, this is another deck that's super out of print, so I debated showing it, but I love it so much, so I had to. I just keep this. This is a makeup bag from H&M that I bought on clearance there like a really long time ago, so you can get creative with your deck bags. This was out of print when I bought it. I bought it secondhand. This is the Intuitive Beauty Angel deck, and you'll see why I love it, because once again, it's that super beautiful, brightly colored, loving, you know, just hug of a deck, right? I love these card backs with the crystals and the flowers. And, yeah, I just love everything about this. The color. It's a mix of archangels and like less specific, more generic phrases like the romance angels or power animal lion, angels of crossing over, dream angel guide. So some are specific angels from specific faith traditions, you know, Archangel Michael, for example, that's card number 1, and then just mixing in with other spiritual angels and guardians. But I love this deck. I've had it for a super long time. I don't even remember when I got it. It was one of the first decks I owned, and it continues to give me hugs and sing to me anytime I need it to. Angels of Intuition, I love that. Tree of Knowledge. It's just a really beautiful deck. So I'll include a link to the creator's website. You can maybe, if you love this deck, maybe contact her and see if you can beg, borrow, and steal to get a copy. But that is the Intuitive Beauty Angel deck. Okay, 2 to go. This is the second to last deck. So this is the Spirit Animal Oracle by Baron-Reid. And as you guys have figured out, I love animal decks, but this one just has a special place in my heart as an extra hug deck. It comes with a really just beautiful box, a nice message there inside, a really like good thick guidebook that's got, you know, the animal spirit, an oracle message, a protection message, which is for if you want to use reversals with this oracle deck. It's just really beautiful. And I love this oracle for a lot of reasons. It's, you know, it's this nice, lush, matte cardstock that Hay House was using for a while with their decks. It's pretty thick. It's got a nice amount of animals in it. And the other thing I like is that there are animals in this deck that you just don't see in a lot of animal oracle decks, like a sandpiper. But, you know, certain animal decks, you see the same cards over and over. You know, there's almost always a bear and a butterfly and a bee and those kinds of things. But you don't usually see a vulture. You might not see a skunk or a porcupine or even a cow. Look how beautiful this cow is. So, you know, again, here's the bee, here's the dolphin. So the ones you're used to are there. But I just really enjoy seeing some of these other animals here. The other reason, the messages are really beautiful and very, very comforting, just like you'd want from a hug deck. And the other reason I love this deck as a hug for me is this deck is just, I guess, what I'll call well-traveled. For a good two years, maybe. I don't even know if this deck's been out for that long, but pretty much since the day I got it, which was right when it was released. It went to every spiritual retreat that I went on, every business building conference, and I would always use it with my table mates everywhere. So dozens and dozens of people have used this deck with me. It actually lived in the house of someone close to me for a while because she wanted to borrow it. And so it's just neat to me that it has been in lots of places. This Seahorse Spirit card is is special to me because a good friend of mine pulled it at one of those events. So if you're watching, you know who you are, and I love you. So I just really love just the way that this deck is comforting and encouraging. The messages are always spot on. And I just really love that it's given so much encouragement to me, but also to so many people I care about. So we'll end with the whale spirit and trust the great mystery. All right, we just have one more hug deck to go. Okay, I have to confess this last deck is a little bit of a cheat because I've only had it for about a week as I'm filming this, and I haven't actually used it yet. It's the Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle deck by Amanda Lovelace. And why I let myself include this is because I have so much confidence that this is a hug deck that I'm willing to call it that before I even open it. And I'm willing to do that because it is based on 3 books of poetry by Amanda that themselves have been hugs in my life. The Princess Saves Herself in this one, The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one, and The Mermaid's Voice Returns in this one. Each of these poetry books has carried me through some very dark times. And I love these books. They make me feel seen. They, you know, they're just beautiful. There's obviously some profanity, so excuse me if that bothers you as I'm flipping through, but these books have just healed my heart in so many ways, and I love them so much. I love everything she does. So the second I saw that this deck was coming out, I had to have it because I just love everything she does. So let's have a look at the Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle deck. It does come with a guidebook, just with a basic message per card. And the thing I already love about this deck, just from my first flip throughs, is she does a great job of all kinds of diversity in this deck, which I really appreciate. So let's just have a peek at some of these awesome cards. Like, I love this Tower, Unplug and Relax for a Spell. Now, this isn't tarot, so it's not necessarily, you know, that tower, but a mirror. Treat your body like the palace it is. You can manifest your every wish. Dragons, slay them all. I just love that. Look at this. Make the change. She's cutting her hair. I did this once. I cut off my own hair. And it was super empowering. I actually did it live on Facebook Live many years ago in my group. But how's that for a happily ever after? So I just love that everything you need is here. It's just really beautiful. Lioness, you've earned all your stripes. And this is just one of those hug decks that is super empowering. Look at this. Be honest with yourself. Tree, let them go. So I'm just super excited. Don't doubt your worth. To play with this on days when I have forgotten how strong I am, how powerful I am, or when I have forgotten, you know, what I am capable of and what I can do with my life and in the world. So this is my last hug deck. Swim away from situation, shark. I love this. You don't need someone else to fix you. You can always rewrite the story. We'll end on that card. You can always rewrite the story. Believe in your own magic oracle. So I hope you enjoyed that little peek into my collection and really a little bit of my soul, right? I would love to make more deck collection videos for you guys, but I want to know what you want to see. I have a lot of decks because, well, I just don't really do anything halfway. So let me know. Do you want to see animal decks? Do you want to see goddess decks? Do you want to see decks for shadow work? Do you want to see kawaii and cute decks? Do you want to see fairy and magic decks? Dragon decks? What else do I have over there? I got witchy decks. I got astrological decks. I have abstract decks. I got pop culture decks that are really fun. Just really beautiful, like luscious decks. So lots and lots to choose from. So what kind of decks do you love? Let me know and I'll put together a video and hopefully share some new favorites with you. And don't forget to do all the things. Subscribe, like, leave a comment. I already told you to do that. Hit the blue bell if you want to get notified when I make a new video. Okay. Have a good one. I'll see you guys later. Hiccup, hiccup, hiccup.